House to Home, presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
Hafide, and welcome back to House to Home, everybody. I'm Jason Salas, and alongside me are my good friends Liz and Gina from RE/MAX Diamond Realty Guam, and we are joined by the Honorable Senator Telo Taitague, and we continue to talk about, ladies, this issue that we brought up last week about condos not exactly being treated the same way on Guam as far as the money involved and apparently the utility bills. So maybe Liz, if you can just give us a 30-second recap of where we are with that.
Well, PUC, they're doing hearings right now. And what we wanted to do is we attended the hearings, but we wanted to hear Senator Telo Taitague's input from it, because they proposed legislation a number of years ago to address the disparity, the unfairness of the two rates between condos, apartments, and single family homes. So I know they did a bit more research, and we wanted her input regarding this particular issue and, the different nuances regarding how they're billing us with demand rates and how it affects our community.
Mm-hmm. Well, good morning. I think that's my segue in. Good morning, Jason. Always good to see you as well.
Good morning, Senator. A pleasure as always.
And the beautiful ladies, Liz and Gina, thank you so much. And I have to tell you on the onset, I have to thank you too for always being a part of the community and bringing information out there that the community doesn't even know about. Sometimes things slip through the radar, and you've been advocates for the community, and I greatly appreciate that. Please, on behalf of myself and many people who appreciate it, please continue to do so, moving forward. But let me give you a little bit of insight about what happened. Actually, this whole legislation started back during Senator Ben Pangilinan, the great speaker. He was a speaker at one time, Speaker Ben Pangilinan, where he first implemented legislation to bring some parity, finding out that some condos and apartments were being charged commercial rates. And how that PUC, not PUC, but GPA has stated the justification for doing that in the past was because of the demand of power that's being generated in one particular area. So nothing really availed of it. The next legislature came in, I think it was the 30th that came in. There was nothing really done, or the 31st. And then in the, I believe Senator Dennis Rodriguez in the 33rd introduced legislation to continue on the work of Senator Pangilinan to ask GPA to adjust the rates, because there's no parity. I mean, individuals who live in condos and apartments are single family individuals, and just like a regular home. Unfortunately, it didn't move as quick as possible, or even get as far as getting on the session floor. So I picked up the rope, or picked up, what do they say, that imperative when you picked up something and ran with it, picked up the ball, and yeah, that's it, picked up the ball and started running with it again. And I introduced legislation, and then I realized, okay, let's do something different. And with the assistance of the Guam Realtors Association, what we decided to do is go through the PUC. The PUC was organized through the Organic Act of Guam to regulate rates. And so we decided to go that route through a petition. So I'd like to thank the Guam Realtors Association for doing that. And we did submit that petition. The bill was set aside. We did have a public hearing on it, by the way, but I did decide to hold off on it. And we went through this process that the PUC claims that this is what we were set up to do. Why don't we go through this route and do it? So we did. And then we've had several meetings. And of course, when COVID hit, we had a public hearing, because they have to have 3 public hearings, by the way, after they do their research. And it has to be North, Central, and South, those areas on public hearings. So we had our first public hearing, but then COVID hit, and it was scheduled for that April. So everything was kind of put on hold. In the meantime, PUC had asked GPA to put down a rate, something they feel that the correct is like a resolution. Docket 2010 is what they presented to the PUC on their initiatives to address the parity between residential, condos, apartments versus homes. So we finally had all 3 public hearings recently. And I appreciate Fred Harecki, who was present at all those meetings. I was kind of disappointed, Liz, when, even the other meetings that I went to, I know you were there at one of them. Gina, I don't know if you went to one of them, but no, you're usually everywhere, Gina. So I can always assume you're there. But they were not there. Not one single board member from the PUC was at any of these public hearings. And I was quite surprised. So I did ask, Fred Harecki, is this normal that the PUC are not here? And they said, well, sometimes, usually there's one person that shows up. So I made sure that Senator Rigel and I, who was the oversight chair of a committee on economic development as well as power, energy, and utilities, we did this jointly and sent a letter to the PUC, objecting actually to GPA's resolution that they put forth, that they presented during these public hearings. Now, GPA presented docket 20-10, a resolution, and in that, even some of us who know things about kilowatts, megawatts, about power generation, is a bit confused. It was almost like they didn't bring any parity. In some cases, some units had to pay more, like 1% more because of this. So it was very, very, very disheartening that nothing was really done. There was no parity. So of course, Senator Rigel and myself, we sent a letter recently asking the PUC to object to the proposal of GPA and request that they come back and bring something that it has parity, that's equal. So, because many families nowadays, they have no choice but to live in apartments and condos. It's becoming very difficult these days to own your own house. In fact, I was reading something this morning, an article in the mainland about people being let go, and they've been building homes to live in, and they don't even see a chance even living in them now. They're almost built, ready to go, and now the bank is taking it over, So it's becoming difficult for families to own their own home. So for years, GPA has been subsidizing their revenue by charging commercial rates to some condos and apartments, which I think, yeah.
Telo, that's the reason we struggle with these issues, because honestly speaking, if Liz and I, we should just be focusing on real estate. But the problem is, if that's all we cared about, a lot of these things get lost in everything that's going on, and the community is suffering so much. You talk about what's going on in the States with people losing their homes. When the moratorium on evictions and foreclosures, when all of the dust settles, we're going to have a lot of families that are going to be displaced for one reason or another. Our economy is not going to recover anytime soon. And I know people are thinking, because you see, they compute I see this all the time, PUC comes out and says, well, this is only going to be a $25 a month increase or a $10 a month increase. The problem is all of these little things add up. And for the consumer, they have nothing left at the end of the day, and people are struggling. So it doesn't make sense to us that if I'm in an apartment, because that's all I can afford, but I have to now pay more for my utilities. And the justification from GPA is because there's a greater demand load in that,
Yes.
there's concentrated amount of people. But I think it's just the opposite. So what if the demand is greater, but the cost to GPA might be less because you have a concentrated amount of people in one building, which is utilizing one transformer, the lines there. I mean, it doesn't make sense. And I don't think it's appropriate to be charging these people more when their use is exactly the same. I know that the good people
We kind of discussed that, right? We kind of discussed that at the hearing, that one meter that's well maintained, less maintenance versus 22 single family unit meters was more maintenance than just 1 meter alone that's well maintained. And then we did a case study where we ran the new rates with our complex just to see was an adjustment made, and there was no adjustment made. All they did was adjust one factor, and then they raised the demand rate on the other, and it came out pretty much the same or more. So anyway, thanks for your work, Telo, to try to bring this to light, and we need to continue to work on this because it's still not fair. So whatever push you can give with PUC and with us pushing as well, and the community, now that they're more aware of what's going on. Right now, as Gina puts it, even the rental units for our local community, hard to find. If you start to search, everyone's competing and they can't afford, the higher rental rates, and nor can they afford the high power rates.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and again, I greatly appreciate all the work that you guys are doing to push. In fact, this, I think the 28th is 6, 7, 8, Thursday on January 28th at 6:30, the PUC Board of Commission is meeting at the GCIC building at their office to discuss this. So now it's coming to their table. So all the information, the public hearing and the testimonies that were provided will be seen by the commissioners. So the commission. And it is open to the public. However, they will not allow testimony. You can just listen to what they have to say. You can also, at this point right now, and I'm asking the community to please reach out, because, as a senator, I can do all I can and walk and talk and about the issues and concerns, but it's really the people that move things forward. It's really them, the community, that actually can get it to the next step, and that is the testimonies from them to let them know there is a concern in the community. So I really appreciate anybody, if you can please send in your testimony to support bringing parity to apartments and condos that are being charged commercial rates and a demand charge. And if you can send that into the PUC, I don't have, I'll try and send it to you, Liz, via text when I get off and get that email address so that you can send it out to your listening audience. And again, some of the things that were brought up that was very disheartening too, I just wanted to mention that during the public hearing, it was ironic because one of the areas that they talked about is that if you're this deschedule, that you have only one opportunity to change to the deschedule or stay, one of the proposals in the resolution docket 20-10 was you have one option to change to deschedule or stay the way you are, and that's it. You can't change later on. I mean, who does that? You're putting these requirements on apartment owners and condo owners, and you don't do that for residential. I mean, there's some kind of protection that's going on that GPA is doing. And either it's protecting their revenue coming in or something else. But right now, I think this has been addressed way too long, and it needs to be finalized and
this is over 20 years. I remembered when we first started this battle 20 years ago. So
Well, maybe we can wrap up with that. Like, seeing as time is kind of like the variable right now, like what are we looking at in terms of like a timetable for when people can get involved and when could they possibly see something come out of it?
Well, actually, the timetable would be to send all your testimonies and support to the PUC at the GCIC building. You can go on their website, Public Utilities Commission, Guam, and send in your testimony. Then on Thursday, they will listen to what all the testimonies were, listening to GPA, what they have, and then they'll render a decision, I think, within about a week. It could take 2 weeks. I'm not quite sure on that, but that's what we're looking at. However, I still have my bill in the wings.
Yeah. It's a shame, Telo, that the members of the commission did not show up to listen to public testimony. How do you serve if you don't hear the public's point of view?
serve? That's right.
Well, how do you get the $1,000 stipend every month for every commissioner? How do you justify that $1,000 stipend every month for a PUC member, commissioner?
That's perhaps a different segment of this show.
Yes.
Well, it seems like we can possibly close with that, because it seems like the two things that are keeping this issue going are money and time.
Yep.
So like the senator said, the time as soon as possible, get involved, and hopefully the money will be driven down to the satisfaction of ratepayers here. So ladies, thank you so much. And Senator, we thank you as always for your time.
Thank you,
so
Senator
much.
Telo.
All right.
Okay.
See you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.